Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to PHLY Flyers postgame presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name's Bill Matz. You know the drill. This is Kelly Hinkle from Broad Street Hockey. That was an Islanders game, all right.
That sure was a hockey game that we watched.
I have been trying to come up with a take on this game, but really all eyes on the NHL, as it seems like, is the trade deadline tomorrow or something?
I know. I don't think either of us was paying attention to the game for like the second half.
And honestly,
things are happening.
It didn't feel like the Flyers were much either. Now, my like individual, if I'm gonna try to actually think about what happened tonight, is one, Sorokin was Sorokin. Okay,
he did his thing.
And two, very physical, entertaining first period. Flyers are pretty damn good for the first 17 minutes of the first period, and then just gave up 2 rush goals that were way too easy in transition for the Isles. And the very physical first period played right into the hands of the Islanders, who have been off for 3 days on a 7-game homestand while the Flyers played last night. All of that is true.
Yeah.
But right now, those, I hate to say excuses because they're things that did happen.
Yeah.
But those excuses kind of ring hollow after last night's effort when you told us you thought you were a lot better than it looked. And, oh, yeah, we just got goalied. Like, that can't be your excuse every night. And they were the worst team tonight. And that can't happen back-to-back against 2 division teams that you're fighting for playoff positioning with. This one, you're better than. Like, you're better than the Islanders. And from these 2 games, they got 0 points.
Yeah.
And that, for a team who, listen, is it the biggest deal in the world? Like, are they going to be deadline buyers? No. But a team that does, at least for the guys on the ice and the coaching staff behind the bench, have the goal of making the playoffs. That's what they want to do, regardless of like if the organization's all in on it. And tonight we just didn't get enough. Second straight night, Flyers come out, score the first goal. Looks like they're going to get on a roll. Hopefully at least open themselves up a lead because you are in the back end of a back-to-back. You need to take advantage of the early game. But second night in a row, they give up 2, go into intermission down 2-1, and the New York team never looks back. Yeah,
we talked about it on pregame. It was all about how they came out after last night looking like crap, and they came out tonight. I would say not looking as poor as they did last night, but still not very good. Still some defensive breakdowns. Fedotov, not great, but I don't know if I'd hang the loss on him. You can't really score 1 goal and expect to win a lot of hockey games, but there's just a lot of guys not contributing on offense in a way that I would like to see them contributing on offense.
That's, again, we have a decent shot total. You outshoot the Islanders 30-27 tonight, but maybe it felt like they threatened a little bit more than they did against the Rangers, but it was still just kind of felt a lot of empty calorie shots.
I was going to say, how many of those were high danger? Because it didn't feel like a lot.
Just didn't feel like it. A lot of... I don't know if the Flyers have scored a rebound goal all season. Just centering passes to nobody. Something I really wanted to, that's been bothering me for a couple of days.
What's that?
The Flyers don't have a defenseman who can, like, get a shot through. They take so many attempts from the point that get blocked or go wide or just have nothing on them. It's a real hole in their offense. We all know, like, okay, yeah, they need more high-end skill up front. Obviously, centers, a big need for this team. Like, the GM just said it the other day. The coach says it all the time. But I just looked at the old event summary tonight. Travis Sanheim had 4 shot attempts, 2 got to the net. Cam York had 8 shot attempts, 2 got to the net. Drysdale had 4, 1 was a shot on goal. Risto got 3 of 4 through. Congratulations, Risto. EJ, 1 of 2, and Sealer, 1 of 3. The vast majority of shot attempts that this team takes from the point never have a chance. And I realize, like, especially this year, it seems teams are kind of shying away from distance shots and really trying to get the puck into more danger areas. That's why total shots on goal are down, save percentages are down, because they're trying to take more dangerous shots around the league. But for a team that doesn't have a ton of snipers, a ton of dudes who can come out and just beat a goalie, play give and go, make plays around the defense, I've said for a while, especially like on the power play, but this team needs to turn its offensive strategy into the tush push. Get the puck back there and then create chaos in front of the net. Like, that's this team's best chance of creating more scoring chances, having longer possessions in the offensive zone. Just way too much one and done right now.
Yes.
They went through a little stretch where they were scoring like November, December into January. It was looking good. But they've been coming up empty for a few weeks now, and it's a little disappointing.
I'm not surprised to see Risto as the best of those numbers. Because if I think any of our defensemen is going to be the guy to get shots through, it's Risto.
He actually winds up to take a slap shot now and then. It's not like, I feel like this isn't rocket science, but so many of these guys just don't have a killer shot, and I don't need everyone to be clapping ghost bombs back there. And listen, he had
one or two would be nice.
He had plenty of shots blocked, sticks broken, and all that, and things that went the other way, missing the net. But like, you had a chance, and it just feels like they have a ton of shot attempts that never really have a chance from the defense. That was something that really stood out to me last night and tonight, and it's been bothering me, so I wanted to point it out. But the start of this game, entertaining as hell. The last 3 minutes of the first, they give up a couple of goals. That was bad. But we have right away, Romanov decks York. York goes out, clean, open ice hit, just in front of the net. He gets crashed into, hard hit. But the Flyers did not back down. Risto did his best Cronwall impression. He pinches down in the offensive zone wall, throws a big one.
That was a great hit.
EJ was throwing hits. I realize, like, whether it's for Zamula or whoever, it makes no sense to be playing Erik Johnson regularly. Like, what's the point?
No.
He's one of their 6 best defensemen.
I mean,
maybe not on a regular basis, but tonight he was one of their better players. Is he better than Egor Zamula?
Debatable.
Zamula had been good up until last night. We called it a scratch. We called it he got sat. In the pregame, we said that's probably why he's out. They did call it an upper body ailment. Well, that's what he's nursing right now. Yeah, who knows?
Sleepy head?
Overslept.
I can relate. So you know what Erik Johnson is? Erik Johnson is that thing where coaches prefer a mediocre to bad player that they know exactly what he's going to do rather than a guy with potential upside that they can't really predict. I'm not saying Zamula has high potential upside, but I do feel like if you're comparing him and John, you know exactly what you're getting out of Erik Johnson.
Trust me, I would, especially like if we're going to bring Emil Andre into this, who apparently got hit in the face with a puck tonight.
But came back.
He was okay. That's good. That's excellent, because he'd missed a couple of games with an injury. He came back and immediately had to leave with an injury. But like, if you're going to bring Andre into this, but even Zamula, like, Erik Johnson has no future here. He's 37 years old. He's on a 1-year deal. He's here to, kind of be a coach on the ice, an extra guy. But I was just impressed with this game tonight. That's all. In a night where no one really stood out, especially after the first 10, 12 minutes. I liked what I saw at EJ.
It was also, I mean, what has he been 66 games? Or no, it's 66 days.
Yeah.
Since he last played.
I think they said 29 straight games.
Game. I mean, he could have looked terrible, but he really came out and he gave her a little bit. Like, all those hits, good. Getting shots off, good. Like, didn't make any huge glaring errors like we saw out of Egor Zamula last night. So, on the whole, positive improvement. It's just that that's the kind of game that we just watched, is that we're looking at Erik Johnson throwing some big hits and going like highlight.
Yeah.
Highlight reel. That was the good part.
It was. In the Forster goal right away, that was nice. Good to see him. It was a
very nice goal.
When he gets a clean release, he seems to sneak up on goalies. He really needs to work on getting it off from different angles, having a quicker release, just being cleaner with the shot selection, shooting more, I think, would be huge for him. But man, when he shoots, it goes in. He's shooting like 17%, I think, this season. He's been like, and that's without having scored in his last, I think, 7 or 8 games, they said. So that was a good start for him. And he actually led all forwards in ice time, did Forster tonight. Nice. 19-24, just a couple of seconds more than Noah Cates.
He looks very good.
He was excellent tonight. Very few. Listen, in a game you lose and you're +1, not bad for Tyson Forster, and that's why he got the most ice time out of all the forwards. I do want to talk about Ivan Fedotov and the whole goalie situation that could be unraveling here. Ivan Fedotov stops 24 out of 27, gives up 3, 889 save percentage. I don't know how much more we can expect from him. You'd like it to be better. It just seems, though, when the opponent gets a clean shot.
Yeah.
Now, listen, don't give up all those odd man rushes. Right. Don't get burned through the neutral zone.
Yeah, don't let Matt Barzal get a breakaway. Don't do those
Don't
things.
Get caught on 10 changes tonight, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that said, there's no rule that an odd man rush goal has to go in, a shot on an odd man rush has to go in.
No.
And it seemed tonight if this is clean, Fedotov's getting beat, and that's what happened. He's just he is what he is at this point, I guess.
He's not very good. And that was what was frustrating about him tonight, is that there were definitely some breakdowns in front of him that led to the shots, but he had clear sight on at least 2 of those goals. And he just didn't stop them. And those are the kinds of saves that you need your goalie to make. You need him to make the ones that he can see. Especially since, wasn't he complaining at the beginning of the season that the biggest problem he was having is that he wasn't able to see shots because there was too much traffic in front of him? Buddy, you can see the shot. Stop the shot. Yeah,
the angles and just the reaction time, not really there tonight. I don't think he was the reason they lost. Again, like Kelly said, you scored once. Typically not enough, typically not enough to win a game is 1 goal. And that's really the crux of this, is they just, for a second straight night, weren't good enough, not able to put multiple shifts in a row where they're controlling things. They had a little surge in the third period, but not really enough, I thought. The first was back and forth, but I thought they controlled a decent amount of that, but that all gets undone by a couple of just rushes, end-to-end breakouts that turn into 2-on-1s and odd man. You can't have those breakdowns, especially against a team like the Islanders that they're going to be stingy. They're going to be physical. It's going to be tough to get 60 minutes in a back-to-back. You just can't have those breakdowns, especially in the first period, if you want to have a chance. And it just seemed as if they were out of gas by the end of this thing.
Yeah, especially as you pointed out in the second half of a back-to-back, if you get an early lead, you got to either extend it or just lock it up. Do one of those 2 things, and they did neither.
That's the other part of this is, for a couple of games there, really for a few weeks, the Flyers were back to playing lockdown defense, really denying a ton of shots, blocking everything. The shots that do get through are low danger. I mean, they held the Devils to 15 shots in a game the other
Devils
night.
are a much better team than the Islanders.
And tonight, they're kind of on that pace. They give up 6 shots in the first period. Now, the breakdowns, it's 2 goals. But then in the second, you give up 13. In the third, you come out strong, 16 shots to 8, but still just not enough. The defense has been, and I'm not just talking about the blue liners, the team defense, it just hasn't been what it was the last couple of nights. And my question to you about that, Kelly, is we know this team's style. Mm-hmm. We saw how they wore down last year, and it was not just the goaltending. Yeah, Ersson didn't give them a chance on a lot of nights, and if someone other than Ersson played, it was basically like having an empty net.
Right.
But this way that Tortorella demands this team plays, is it sustainable?
Bless you.
Can you have the energy for a full season? Sorry, I just had to sneeze.
No, I don't. I mean, maybe on a team with a more evenly dispersed talent pool, you could pull off this kind of energy because you could spread it out a little bit more. But I don't think it's sustainable for this iteration of the Philadelphia Flyers. But I don't know that they're hitting that wall just yet. I think they're just playing like crap. And obviously it's easy to point to the defense, but once again, I'm looking at guys like Owen Tippett. He had that crazy turnover tonight.
It looked like he got benched maybe at one point, or at least had his...
where it's like, we need these guys to score goals. Was Sorokin on it tonight? Yes, absolutely. But you got to find ways to beat these guys, especially when you understand, like, okay, we're trying to gain points in the Metro. This is a team we're already above and we're better than them. Find a way to score a goal. Like, this is your one job. And it's very frustrating when you know that the defense isn't going to be as good as you want it to be. Like, we know what the defense is for the most part, and you got Erik Johnson coming in tonight. You know that's probably going to be a little bit of a deficiency. Turned out he wasn't really. But it would have been nice to see the guys on offense step up a little bit tonight, and they didn't. No,
and that brings us to our first break tonight. I got to tell you about our presenting sponsor, Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, and they got us again tonight somehow. Travis Konechny, 6 shot attempts, but we had him over 2.5 shots on goal. He ends with 2. The ring notched that one for the sports book again, and Noah Cates, I thought, again, one of the more effective guys, and he did tie for the team lead in shots on goal with 3, but none of them went in, so we didn't get that anytime goal either. But regardless, I've been placing all my bets this season, whether they're the pregame props, side, total, all my futures are at Bet365. I've been using Bet365 all season, and I think you should too. And we've got breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5, win or lose. What you got to do is sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, place a $5 bet to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. While we're here, and maybe you've been fading me all season. You got some money to burn? Burn it at Shady Rays. That's right. Because while it might be cold out, it's always sunny in this city of ours. And our friends at Shady Rays are helping you get in the right frame of mind with their premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. I've been telling you, Shady Rays for over a year now. Rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people because their sunglasses have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures, including their new collection of snow goggles for skiers and snowboarders. Check out all of the great selection over at Shady Rays. And right now, that's right, PHLY viewers and listeners, go to shadyrays.com, save 35% off polarized sunglasses with code PHLY. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars, so use code PHLY today to find out how great they are at shadyrays.com. The other end of this goalie situation that is unfolding right now.
Yes.
I was hoping to see Sam Ersson get 2 weeks to really collect himself.
Would have been nice.
I was thinking, we saw him kind of fold under the gigantic workload that was placed on him last year, and we've seen him suffer a few injuries this season. I can't really blame him for last night's game, but end of the day, he gave up 5 goals. And now it seems as if he could be going to 4 Nations because not only has Linus Ullmark been week to week since getting hurt right before the Xmas break, and it was
very Flyers week to week for him.
Yeah. Now, Jacob Markstrom got hurt a couple of days ago in the Devils-Bruins game. And so, as Jackie Spiegel tweeted earlier, Ersson was kind of always looked at as the number 4 here, and now he could be the backup for this tournament. Now, Philip Gustafsson, far and away the number 1 goalie, and it's not as if this is a month-long thing. It's 2 weeks. It's a few games. I bet you they ride Gustafsson, and it's not going to be a huge workload for Sam Ersson. But instead of relaxing and recharging, he's going to be practicing. He's going to be backing up. He's going to be warming up, all that stuff. Cool for him. He gets to play in a best on
great.
best. I don't know, how I seriously doubt he'll be going to the Olympics next year or anything with Team Sweden. But how are you feeling about Ersson going to Four Nations potentially?
Honestly, I hate mid-season tournaments like this. And all I can think about is like which of our guys that's going to this tournament is going to end up getting hurt in service of this dumb, meaningless tournament that they invented last year out of thin air. And that's going to be really annoying. Hopefully it's nobody, but it would have been really nice to know that Ersson was lying around doing absolutely nothing for 2 weeks. So here's hoping Gustafsson can keep it together for the entire length of the tournament, because I would be very happy to see Ersson get 0 minutes of playing time. No offense to Ersson, but he needs the rest more than he needs whatever glory you're going to get from winning a 4-team tournament.
Listen, everything was invented at some point. The Olympics didn't exist one day and then they did.
Yeah, but the new things are worse than the old things.
And then they
were invented before.
I like this. I like the tournament way better than the All-Star game, which is a waste of everyone's time.
No one likes that either.
I just always go back to the World Cup. What was that, in 2016 now? It was a while ago.
Yeah.
But
I hated that too, and then I had fun.
That thing was a way for Adidas to sell some jerseys. That's all it was. And then the players cared, and the hockey was fun.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. But if the Flyers are going to hang around and make a run at this, it's going to be with Sam Ersson and net. It sure as hell ain't going to be with Fedotov. And I don't know how Kolosov did tonight, but it didn't sound like it started all that well for Alexei down in the AHL.
I don't think it was great.
It's going to be Sam's net. And now there's a break we thought he was going to get that he's at least not going to get entirely. Even if he doesn't play, he'd probably get a game, right? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to get split up, but now he's going to be traveling. He's going to be practicing, all that stuff. Of course he is. Of course he is. It's got to be the guy who more than anyone except maybe Michkov could really use the break.
Yeah, Phantoms lost 2-1.
Phantoms, all right, so he only gave up 2.
Oh, wait, am I looking at the right thing? The AHL's website is...
I like the way the
different.
AHL does their stats.
I lied.
But
they lost 5-1.
Up to date. They lost 5-1.
That's
all right.
worse.
That's considerably worse than the 2-1 that we thought
worse.
Was going down.
Yeah, so not great from Kolosov, which honestly, not that surprising given what we saw from him the last part of the time that he was up here. I don't know. I mean, the goalie position is what it is. It's a mess, and it's what's like we've said 1,000 times, with league average goaltending, the Flyers would comfortably be in a playoff spot. But they're not going to get there because the goaltending stinks. It is what it is. And I don't know what we do about it at this point.
Again, I'm not trying to say that this game was on goaltending, but man, you see some of it, and it's just if they could just get one save sometimes, it would mean a ton. Do you think it makes sense to go out and try to get some steadying veteran presence for this last, couple months of the season?
I still don't think so. I still ask the same question: to what end? And last night's game, I put less on Ersson than I put. Yeah. I put this game more on Fedotov.
They played like crap last night.
But I mean, okay, so let's say we go out and we get John Gibson. Okay, then what? Then what? We'll maybe get into the last wild card spot, and then what? I just don't see a point in spending any assets on a stopgap goaltender when there's just not a point to it. It should be the same as last year, where cool, boys, go out there, try to make the playoffs. If you do, that's awesome. But we're still going to do all the things that we need to do to make the team better, and that's the way it should be this year as well. I don't think if the Flyers were farther out of the playoff picture, they would be going to get a goaltender. And I don't think if they were in the playoff picture, they would be going to get a goaltender. So that means they don't need a goaltender. They shouldn't go and get one.
And to your point, I'm not thinking of John Gibson.
I was just the first one that came.
Of course, he's the big name available, and we are going to talk about the Mikko Rantanen trade. I just want to get all this game stuff out of the way. I really don't feel like talking
boring stuff first.
Let's get this stuff out of the way. So you have to watch through.
Stay tuned.
You have to watch through a little to get to the good stuff. Trade talk.
Yeah.
That's how we're going to game the YouTube system tonight. But like, and they go out and trade Sean Walker last year, right? And then half the defense is hurt as well. They just needed someone to play. So they bring in an Erik Johnson.
Yeah.
And like, that's the kind of goalie like a mid-level, just a veteran guy that you can throw in there and like might make a stop or two more than Fedotov.
If you could like get a waiver, like if someone waives a goalie, you get a waiver claim.
Tristan Jarry?
Well, I mean like a better
I said someone who
goaltender.
might make a stop.
Right. Or like you can get one for like a fourth in future consider. Like if you could do something like that, like, all right, whatever, that doesn't matter. But there should be absolutely no expending actual useful assets on getting a goaltender. That's all I'm saying.
I wonder, I'm just seeing Torts met with the media following the Flyers tweeted it, and it's a minute 40. So it doesn't seem as if he was in too much of a talking mood tonight. And honestly,
same.
Like, yeah, I feel you, man. Friday night against the Islanders, and it was shaping up to be a really entertaining game. And then
the first half of that first, they really had something, and then they just...
That Forster goal came after like 7.5 minutes of continuous play.
A nice goal.
It was fun. It was a physical game. It was a mean game. You could tell both teams just really not all that happy with each other after meeting last Thursday. And then it just felt like it ground to a halt in the second period. Like there was just nothing going on. And by the time they got to the third, the Flyers had nothing. So with that said, let's attempt to do, in the absence of Charlie O'Connor, who has the night off, a well-deserved night off for Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer.
He earns it.
Let's attempt to do Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. I'm going to give star number 3 to Erik Johnson. Honestly,
why not?
I liked Erik Johnson tonight. He picks up an assist. He's +1 in the game. He only plays 13:03, but he threw some hits. He had a shot on goal. In a night where nothing happened for the Flyers good after the first 17 minutes, I enjoyed myself some EJ.
It's nice seeing him come out and play. I'm sure he had a good time. It's good for him.
Yeah.
I like Erik Johnson like as a human. So you know what? Go out there and have fun.
Hasn't played since I think they said November 20th.
Yeah.
Like it's been a long, long time for EJ, and he shook the rust off pretty quick. So let's make him star number 3. Listen, this isn't like the most truthful. Like they should all be Islanders. I'm going to give it to Tyson Foerster. Tyson Foerster led the Flyers forwards in time on ice. He scores the only goal. He made a couple of plays on the defensive end that I liked. Yeah. He was the only guy back in a 2-on-1 that he broke up. That was a nice play. I like Tyson Foerster. I like when he does well. I'll give him star number 2.
I like it.
And
Charlie's not here. We do not need to be objective.
No. I guess we got to give number 1 to Ilya Sorokin. 29-30 for a 967.
Pretty good.
He shut the Flyers out for what? Like they score 14-14, so 2 periods and 6 minutes or so. He shuts the Flyers out. He was really good tonight. As much as I'm going to dog the Flyers for just not looking very good, they also had some chances that Sorokin shut the door on. They did. So
he's good.
I can't totally crush them for this one. I guess it's just 0 points in back-to-back.
It sucks. Against 2 teams that we hate.
2 division teams, both New York. Maybe we're just getting all the losses out of the way to clear the weekend for the Birds. That's how I'm going to look at this. And then it is fun on Monday.
Birds will save us all, yeah.
On Monday, it's Flyers-Devils. Back-to-back Josh Harris games. These are Sunday, but Monday as well. The most important 48 hours in, I think, the city's history, quite honestly.
That's too much for me. I can't deal with that
it's
kind
a
of
battle.
pressure.
It is a battle for the soul of the city. So Eagles, no pressure.
No Birds.
Let's talk about the trade.
Let's go.
Let's talk about the trade. So
the good news.
There's some other stuff going on, and we might have some more Indeed breaking news. Like people are going a little hard.
People have lost their minds on the socials media.
The Colorado Avalanche may, in fact, not be done, but our brethren over at DNVR and as well as CHGO, they are part of 2/3 of this trade. So this thing came out in pieces, but eventually Frank Saravalli had the whole thing, and this is This is a freaking blockbuster. I don't know what else to call it. Like this is a huge trade.
Old-fashioned NHL hockey trade, the likes of which we have not seen in a very long time, and I am obsessed with it.
Now, the Canes, the Carolina Hurricanes, and our good friend Dr. T, Eric Tulsky, comes away as the big winner here. They
Just
get
a masterclass.
They get Mikko Rantanen, and as of now, it sounds as if he's not signing an extension like immediately. So maybe a free agent target.
They have the cap space to sign him if they want to.
They could. Mikko Rantanen going to Carolina along with Taylor Hall, and it's like, oh, really? What the hell is Taylor Hall doing? He's actually like been kind of good lately for Chicago.
Also, like, let's not forget what Chicago is. Like,
yes.
Taylor Hall is still Taylor Hall. Like, he's obviously not MVP season Taylor Hall anymore.
And that MVP was a joke to begin with.
It was a joke. That was Claude Giroux's MVP. But he's still Taylor Hall. Like, he's still got it in him. And you put him on a team like the Canes with talent around him and not a miserable experience, he's probably going to have a pretty good time.
He was off to a slow start in Chicago. Taylor Hall was this year. Obviously, he was coming back from the injury he suffered last year. Last 26 games, though, he has 18 points. Now, like, there's a hat trick in there, so that's big. But he's been pretty good for them. So it's Rantanen and Hall to Carolina. The Avalanche get back Marty Necas, Jack Drury. There was a rumor it could have been Kotkaniemi, but it ends up being 4-seed Jack Drury. A 2025 second-round pick, 2026 fourth. That's all from Carolina. And then the Blackhawks, after giving up Taylor Hall, they get a 2025 third-round pick, which is actually their own return from Carolina.
Yeah.
And they're retaining 50% of Rantanen's salary. They're playing middleman for Carolina and Denver, Colorado.
I can understand sort of why the Blackhawks would want to get rid of Taylor Hall in his contract. Like, you're going like harder for the tank than I can remember a team going. Like, they're going real hard in the tank. And so you probably don't want that guy and his giant paycheck on your team. He's obviously not going to be a part of whatever you're trying to do over there, however that's going to work. So I get that, but I also feel like they got absolutely fleeced. Like, just a third?
I like Rantanen. It's an expiring deal for Rantanen.
Yeah, you're taking on the 50% just for this year.
So it's like what the Flyers did with Hanifin last year. I guess like it's their own third. So like right now, that would be the second pick in the third round.
Yeah.
So
high second.
It's a
much.
High, low second, whatever.
High second, low second, yeah.
Whatever. I never know. Like
I never know. I feel like it goes
30 is
both
a
ways.
higher number,
but it's a lower pick.
Regardless,
yeah.
It's a decent third round pick just to move on from Taylor Hall and to retain 50% of Mikko Rantanen's salary.
Yeah, I mean, whatever, but I feel like you could have done a little better.
This is just absolutely crazy that we can see, especially with the deadline still so far away.
Yeah.
It's March 7th. And a big part of this that I think is going to, like, I haven't seen mentioned yet. I've been saying I want to get rid of Rasmus Ristolainen before Four Nations because this thing is just an extra, like, mid-season. It's extra games. We've seen guys get hurt at the Olympics before during these breaks and stuff. And I was kind of interested to see if there would be any movement on players who are going to be in the Four Nations tournament. Now, listen, like, the difference between Rantanen and Risto is freaking
a little bit of a difference there between those two players.
It's not as
Some would say Rantanen is better.
Like, maybe we don't want to take the risk on Risto. It's like, well, we want Mikko Rantanen for as many seconds as we can possibly have him in pursuit of a Stanley Cup. And so it makes sense. But now Aho and Rantanen will be teaming up, and they will be teaming up both for Finland and for the Carolina Hurricanes. Maybe there's a little bit of, hey,
that's what I'm saying.
While you guys are hanging out together, maybe talk to him about how cool it is in Carolina and how much you want to stay here.
I regret to inform you that the Carolina Hurricanes are the one team we're absolutely not going to talk into trading for Rasmus Ristolainen.
No, I just mean for like Aho selling Rantanen on signing an extension.
No. I think that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to use Aho as like, hey, buddy, come hang out with me forever. We're both really good at hockey. Like, I would be really surprised if they don't re-sign him, actually.
I would be as well.
Players apparently love playing for Brindy, so, like, seems like a good opportunity.
And just adding him to that that power play, into this offense. Like, it's a huge move for Carolina, and I like seeing them go for it. We saw them make some big moves last year, and doesn't pay off. They don't go on the run they wanted, but here they are, kind of like not even really pushing all the chips onto the table. Now, this is a huge ad for them. And Taylor Hall, like, not a bad secondary piece, but it's not as if they gave up a ton. Now, Marty Necas, sure, he's a good player. Good. He's very good. Jack Drury, a good 4C. But that's what you gave up for a legitimate superstar, Mikko Rantanen.
You like actually just like killed your entire future getting these players.
And this is a hell of a trade. And now I think there's a positive way and a negative way to look at this from the Flyers' perspective.
Oh, boy.
And I want to get into that.
I wonder which one people are using.
Yeah, I wonder which one. And I want to get into that. But first, I got to tell you about one of our partners here. It's Glatt Hair Restoration. That's right. You've been hearing about Glatt Hair Restoration for years from John Marks, because not only is he a spokesman, he's a customer. And if you've seen Johnny lately, listen, he got that procedure done like over a decade ago, and his hair is still looking real good. And technology has come a long way in that time, as has Glatt Hair, now under the direction of Dr. Morgenstern, a highly respected plastic surgeon. Everything else has stayed the same. You get the same peerless approach to care, the same expert team, same unmatched Glatt system, same state-of-the-art location, and the same stellar results, because each member of the exceptionally trained Glatt restoration team brings 30-plus years of industry experience. Hair restoration is all they do, from laser light therapy to non-invasive TED treatments to vitamin supplementation, medications, PRP and stem cell restoration, and hair restoration surgery. And each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment, because not everyone's hair is the same. Everyone's in a different point of hair loss. They pinpoint what you need, and then they go and do it. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glatt Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit glatthairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started today. While we're here, let's talk about Ace Hardware Home Services, because if you've got a leaky pipe, Ace Hardware Home Services is around the block with everything you need to fix it, including the person to do the fixing. Same goes for your air conditioning issues, that leaky faucet that you've said you were going to get to since last fall. It's been like 18 months. Stop sitting around. Stop pretending like you're going to do it. Call the experts at Ace Hardware Home Services, because now they're not just the helpful hardware folks. They're also the helpful home service and repair folks, from plumbing to heating and cooling. They've got the trusted pros to keep your home humming all year long. Ace Hardware Home Services, they're bringing helpful home, the helpful you love, from the store now to your front door. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get you started on your next project today. Now, the positive way to look at this is a superstar got traded.
Yeah.
It is doable. You can go out and say, we need X high-end talent player, and you can make it happen. Now, this is a complicated trade, a lot of moving pieces, and you had to surrender some roster players to get it done. But ultimately, the Carolina Hurricanes are a better hockey team and closer to their goal of pursuing a Stanley Cup than they were a few hours ago.
Yep.
That is very, that should be encouraging for Flyers fans who want to look at this and go, man, they're going to need to do something like this at some point. They can draft and develop all they want. They can have, these internal solutions to a lot of their problems. But ultimately, to add superstar talent to Michkov and company, they're going to need to acquire it from another team. Well, that just happened. It just happened tonight. Mikko Rantanen goes from Colorado to Carolina. He's a freaking star. Then there's the negative way to look at this. Yeah, trades are hard and deadlines spur action. But, Danny, we need you to do some stuff. And other teams are doing stuff.
Yeah.
We would like you to be one of those people doing stuff. And listen, I know we have to be patient. It's not as if, listen, if they could get Mikko Rantanen and get him to sign an extension, cool. But I can't imagine that was really in the cards for the Flyers at this point in their rebuild. Can
he play center?
Exactly. Listen.
Probably.
I'm sure he could. That's if we could give up, some of these wingers in order to get that winger, that would be an upgrade, But it's like, I'm all for being patient. And when the time, I'm not going to kill them for not making moves yet. But they're going to have to start making tough decisions. And you look at this, like Marty Necas, and this is a guy who's gone back and forth. Like he wants a trade, he signs.
Yeah.
Wants a trade, he signs. But it's a dude who was very much part of what they're doing. He's a very good player. And Carolina made the determination, we need an upgrade. So they moved on from one of their guys to go get a vastly superior player. And that is the sort of tough decision that we don't know if Briere is willing to make yet.
Yeah, so I think Charlie's talked about this a bunch on the regular show, that this is something that teams like Carolina and Vegas, I think specifically, do better objectively than the Flyers, and better, frankly, than most teams in the NHL, is that they're not afraid of cutting their losses when it comes to roster players. Like, they don't have this like sunk cost thing that the Flyers seem to always fall into. And it was, I mean, like, we've litigated the Konechny signing. I'm fine with it now. He's awesome. It's great that he's on the Flyers. But that whole conversation was, do we have to keep Travis Konechny because he's always been here and we've put so much into him and we like having him around? Like, is that a reason to keep him?
And like,
or do we move on from him to get more pieces that could be better? The Flyers might have been able to do that, but the Flyers do seem to have a habit organizationally of being like, oh no, this is our guy, so we have to keep him. Whereas a GM like Tulsky, an organization like the Canes, is like, yeah, we like Marty Necas, but like, so there's other players that we might like more. We're totally fine with trading away a guy that we like in order to get a guy that's better. And I'm not sure we haven't seen the Flyers do it, so I don't know if they will.
They made the initial subtractions.
Yes.
Dudes who John Tortorella, for one reason or another, said can't be a part of this. Ivan Provorov. We know all the character. I don't even know if you want to call it character, just like the way he represented himself in the locker room, like wasn't conducive to what Tortorella was trying to do. Kevin Hayes, way too popular in the locker room to be that at odds with a head coach who's trying to change the way the team plays. He had to go. We saw them make some of those subtractions earlier. Mm-hmm. And since, other than Sean Walker, who, yeah, he was good for them for a few months, but like
he wasn't our guy.
No one knew what Sean Walker was going to be when he looked like, oh, this is just LA dumping some salary, like to help us kind of juice our return on the Provorov trade. Like, other than that, we haven't seen this willingness to move on from guys. And like that sunk cost thing, I think, and it's a previous regime, so like you can't blame them. But the idea of, well, we gave up a first-round pick for Risto.
So
what are we going to let him go?
Yeah.
Yes. What are you going to do?
That was the answer.
And listen, it's worked. It's worked out now.
But at the time that contract was signed, he absolutely was not good and was not worth that contract.
But now you have to make the determination.
Right.
We like Risto a lot. And we know that the organization likes Rasmus Ristolainen.
Sure.
The president likes him. The GM just talked glowingly about him. You have him under contract.
Hockey boy.
You have him under contract for a few more years. That hit, he threw a couple of good ones tonight, but that one when he pitched down the boards, that made me real excited.
Yeah.
But you have to make the determination. He's 30.
Right.
We need to get better for the future.
Yeah.
Like, it's not apples to apples. Like, I don't know if Necas really wanted to be there. It was just like, this is the best deal I can get, whatever. But
maybe.
This is the sort of thing the Flyers have to be willing to do. And I don't know if they are or aren't. Like, we just haven't seen it yet. But in certain situations, like the TK thing, they haven't been willing to do it. So we'll see if they are.
Yeah, we do have the one example of the Provorov trade of Briere willing to walk away from a guy, and he ended up, I think, winning that trade.
Yeah.
I think that's unquestionable. He won that trade. However, that was a guy that nobody liked. So my question is he willing to do that same kind of thing with a player that people do like? Like, everybody loves Joel Farabee. Are you willing? Obviously, Joel Farabee's not going to get you Mikko Rantanen, so nobody yell at me. But I'm just saying, like, are you willing to trade a guy like Joel Farabee that everybody likes, that you drafted, that's your guy, in order to get something better? We haven't seen them do that kind of trade yet, and I'm hoping that they're willing to make it. But I'm not going to pretend that I know that they are until they show me that they are.
Yeah, and even I'll take it a step of Tyson Forster.
Yeah.
We have heard that Tyson Forster was the ask, at least in part, for like Jiricek. And now maybe it's good. Maybe Forster is a bigger part of what this team's going to be than Jiricek ultimately would be.
Sure.
That's an evaluation thing. I comment after the fact. I'm not a player evaluator, especially of prospects, guys with under 200 games of NHL experience.
Yeah.
But that's a dude the front office really likes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dude that they have a high price on. Like, oh yeah, maybe he's like untouchable. You can't have untouchables not named Matvei Michkov.
No, you absolutely can't.
Even a guy that you've made a long-term commitment to, Owen Tippett. Are you willing to do that if the right deal comes along? If you can package Owen Tippett and a few other things for like a 1C or a 1D, are you willing to do it? That's the question that they have to ask themselves now, and we just don't know the answer. And trades are exciting. Trades are fun. Danny even said it. You guys want something to write about. You guys want something to talk about. Yeah. But it's also how you're going to get better.
Yeah. I got news for you, Danny. Having something to talk about is cool and stuff, but like I'm a Flyers fan. Like I'm not Charlie. Like I do this because I love this dumb hockey team. I want them to be better. Like that's why I want the moves to happen. I don't want moves just for moves. Like I don't want them to just go out there and do something so that we have something to talk about on Postgame.
Yeah, don't do dumb stuff.
No, I want you to make the team better. And like maybe this conversation, like, so the Canes are going for it this year. Yeah. That's where they are in their cycle of life. The Flyers aren't going for it. So maybe like we have to be okay with the fact that this isn't the year that the Flyers make a trade that involves them getting rid of a Tyson Forster or an Owen Tippett or a Joel Farabee or whatever. Because right now they're like, there's no point in me going out and getting a Mikko Rantanen who's got 1 year left on his contract and probably won't sign here. Because that doesn't fit our time. So
because of taxes.
Because of taxes, obviously, and there's no sunshine. So it's a tough situation because the Flyers, you can't just compare what the Flyers need to do to what the Canes just did because they're like teams in totally different places. And I just wonder if maybe the Flyers are approaching it a little bit more conservatively because they're like, we don't really need to go out and make a huge blockbuster trade for a guy that's going to win us games now because we're not winning. Oh, yeah.
Now. And we're talking about this situation because this is what happened.
Right.
Like, this is the big story.
Rules.
Yeah, and I honestly wanted to put Mikko Rantanen trade in the title of this video. Once again, like, this is a business. But, like, it's an example of going out and doing something that, listen, it's a risk. He might leave. Like he might not resign there. That's totally a possibility, but you have to take risks at some point.
Yes.
Now the Flyers, like I think we talked about this in pregame or I talked about it yesterday, whatever it is, like they do have the advantage at this deadline especially. Like last year, they had to trade Sean Walker. They could say, oh, we thought about bringing him back, blah, blah, blah. You have to trade a guy who's 30 years old on an expiring contract.
Yes.
They do have the advantage this year of if they don't get what they want, Risto, Lawton, whoever, still under team control. Farabee, Frost, all under team control, even if they have an expiring deal. You can walk away. You can play that game, and that's leverage. That's leverage in negotiation. You don't fear walking away because you lose nothing.
Right.
Like, yeah, you can have Risto for what we want for him, and if you don't want to give it to us,
all right,
call us again in the summer. Call us again next deadline. Like, that's all on the table. But eventually, you have to pull the trigger, and they haven't yet. And that's going to frustrate a lot of fans.
I think every time a trade that's fun happens, Flyers fans are going to be mad that it wasn't us making the trade. And like, I get that. And I think it's extra frustrating because I feel like we seem to think that we can see the moves that Danny can make, like hanging out there like big matzo balls. Like we think that they're just there for him to take. We don't know that for sure. Like it's possible that no one's called on Rasmus Ristolainen yet because teams don't want him until the deadline because of like cap, because they don't want to take the risk of him getting hurt. Like they whatever. There could be a million reasons why.
Especially at the asking price right now.
Exactly. So I don't know. I'm not willing to give Briere credit for not making moves, but I'm also not willing to like bury him for not making moves because the timeline that we're working on is long.
Yes.
And so like he absolutely needs to do some stuff. He's got to make some moves. I don't know what those moves are going to be. And I don't know that he should be making them right now, which is what makes it difficult. Because while I, too, would like him to do stuff, I also want him to do the right things. And maybe him waiting is what he needs to do.
Sure. And it's like, again, this move, like, it's not like anyone, they should have got Rantanen. Listen, if they
should have, though.
If they got Mikko Rantanen, I'm not going to sit here and complain. But that's just not where they are right now. No. Especially with him on an expiring deal. Yes. Like, he probably wouldn't stay.
I don't think we could afford him anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. They got some money coming off the books, but this is going to be like a $10, $14 million player.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't the move, but you've seen over this season, like going back to the summer all the way up through the last few weeks, you see Askarov. Well, that's a young goalie who looks real freaking good. Tell me this team couldn't use that.
In hindsight, they should have made that move.
Jiricek. I would have liked to see, like, at least, it's a possibility. You see Nemec. I very much doubt that the Devils are going to trade him in division.
Yeah.
The Flyers and Devils, I think, have made like 2 trades ever. Maybe.
They don't like each other.
Maybe they've made 2 trades ever. And now it's Josh Harris making trades with Comcast. Like, we know they don't like it. They've made up for the building.
Are they not getting along? I had no idea. They have a problem?
So, listen, they made up to get the new building, I guess, but I don't think they love each other all that much. No. But, like, there have been opportunities, and it's like, well, it's hard to make trades, especially you can get it done. We are a couple of weeks out from 4 Nations. It's still over a month away from the trade deadline, and one of the biggest trades in years just came through. Yeah. You can't tell me it can't be done. No. And I think that's the biggest thing that people are frustrated with. Like, you keep doing the Chuck Fletcher trades are hard thing, and I get it, they are, but that's why you get paid a ton of money. It's a hard job.
Briere actually said like anything resembling trades are hard.
No, he hasn't said that. But the lack of movement sometimes, I
get it.
I don't. Maybe they're just playing conservative. Maybe they're waiting for money to come off the books to see what their roster actually is at that time. All those are valid concerns. I said this all day on Twitter. I'm not crushing Briere until I have a clearer view of what he has and hasn't done, and how things work out over the next calendar year or so. But clock is ticking. Matvei Michkov only 20. It's not like the window's closing or anything. No. It's just starting to be propped open a little bit. But he does have to do stuff, and you see tonight, it's not impossible.
No, and I kind of think that I'm leaning towards the positive take on that, which is that, okay, cool. GMs are absolutely willing to make roster moves in season.
It's not just Vegas making a move.
Not just Vegas. It's not just at the deadline. It's not just in the off season. We can make a move right now. So who's to say he won't?
I see. So the other end of this, and we'll get to super chats in a minute, is it sounds like this might not be the end of action now.
Everyone is losing their minds.
Frank
Kevin
Saravalli
Weeks is tweeting things.
Yeah, Kevin Weeks is tweeting
pictures.
Kevin Weeks is tweeting pictures of eyeballs over the one of the million bridges in Pittsburgh. And Frank Saravalli says, and not sure how to process yet, but impeccable source said that this Rantanen deal was not the biggest thing on the table in the last 48 hours. Eyeballs emoji. A lot of people, especially considering the fact that it's Chicago and not Colorado covering the salary, is that maybe, just maybe, the Avs are clearing space for Sidney Crosby.
That I will literally die. So there was apparently some other guy, I don't know, some blogger type from Boston, was apparently speculating about a guy from Nova Scotia going to Colorado, and people thought he was talking about Brad Marchand because he's a Boston guy.
That's interesting too.
But then Weeks tweets that picture of the Pittsburgh bridge with the eyeballs, and that with the Nova Scotia. It's just I will that. I mean, it's not quite Gretzky to LA, but it's pretty dang close.
This is a big deal.
It would be a huge deal if Sidney Crosby did not finish his career as a Pittsburgh Penguin.
Yeah.
It would be very shocking to me. Another thing that I was thinking is maybe Colorado's going to try to go for Pettersson.
Well, that's
they got so much money.
I think it could be JT Miller for Colorado.
Or maybe him too. Yeah.
It really seems like Vancouver's made its choice, and it's going to be Miller.
Well, I read today that they were not loving the offers they were getting on Miller, so now they're exploring Pettersson again because they want stuff.
But
trading Pettersson over Miller would be insane.
It would be. If you're going to do that, do both and start over.
Also, how come no one can tell these grown men to go to work and work with someone that you hate, like all of us do every single day?
Kelly Hinkle deals with me on a daily basis.
Yeah, you don't know this, but Bill and I hate each other. Yeah. But look at us, professional.
We've been in fistfights before.
It's true. I won.
The last thing on this is, speaking of the Vancouver situation, it seems as if Carolina was deep in it for maybe JT Miller, possibly EP, but it sounds like Miller. And they just decided, you know what? We're going to go a different way here.
We'll get a better player.
Yeah. So
instead.
It's very interesting how this is all going to unfold. We'll see how Carolina does. I like when teams go for it because that encourages other teams to go for it, always pursue greatness. So I'm kind of on the Carolina bandwagon right now.
And listen, the NHL is a league full of copycats. It's been 100 years since anyone has done anything remotely this spicy. Maybe all the rest of these GMs will wake up and be like, we're not going to let that nerd in Carolina upstage us. Yeah. We're going to do some spicy stuff too.
That would be fun if a bunch of teams
start doing stuff.
Teaming up against the whatever he is.
Offer sheets came back last year.
Or whatever the hell he is.
He's, I think, a biologist.
Yeah, well, same thing.
We got the offer sheets coming back last year. Big spicy trades happening this season. Maybe the NHL is finally going to be interesting.
Reinstate Paul Holmgren. All right, let's hit those super chats. All right, just one super chat tonight.
Read it slow.
Outstanding. Listen, the game was terrible. From michkov tilt counter. Okay, yeah, there's an L in there. Was hoping for one tonight, but Risto is only improving trade value. Yeah, Risto's been good, man.
He's been real good.
He's been one of the most consistent players on this team for a few months. It's the Cates line. Obviously, TK is TK. He's going through a little something shooting the puck right now. I don't know what the issue is, but he just doesn't have the same pop or willingness to shoot. But I mean, he's TK. He's still he gets an assist tonight. He's piling up points even without the goals. Cates line, Michkov has been better lately, but outside of that, man, Aristo's been really freaking good.
He's been outstanding. And based on the comments that we heard from Briere the last time he talked to the people, it seems like they're definitely exploring a Risto trade. It certainly didn't sound like the Lawton situation where they're like, oh, someone's going to have to blow us away to trade. No, I'm fairly sure that they are Risto's available. What do you got for us? And if something good comes along, they're going to trade him.
That press conference, at least in my interpretation, was very much the Ristolainen part was him going, we don't have to trade him, so
a little gamesmanship.
You better hit us. You better hit us good. Right-handed D, plays that physical, hard to find.
Playoff Risto.
Hard to find. That's what it sounded like, at least that part of it to me.
I agree.
Some other stuff in there bothered me, but that one wasn't quite so bad. All right, before we get out of here, just a couple of things I need to tell you about. The most important of which, it's the Diehard sale right now. Right now at allphly.com. Sign up to be a Diehard, and you can get in. You can get in for $48 for the year. That comes out to $4 a month if my math is right. You are going to want to get in on it. Playoff season, limited time offer. We're bringing back our best Diehard deal. $48 gets you access to the Discord, discount on merchant events, all that stuff, plus all of our Diehard level content. All right. We'd like to thank our TV audience for joining us tonight. Very much appreciate those of you that watch us on the different fast channel offerings. Head over to allphly.com for more of the show. I see we have one super chat that snuck in under the before the bell.
Bonjour. Is Obi-Wan coming to Montreal with us?
Obi-Wan says, bonjour. Is that some sort of bread?
I believe it's a baguette.
Baguette?
Exactly.
All right. And
come to Montreal.
That is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers Postgame, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Make sure you're following us right here on the YouTube page. There's going to be all sorts of good bird stuff going on the page this weekend. Make sure you're following us for all live shows. Set that reminder bell. Follow the Twitter at PHLY_Flyers. And follow the podcast as well. Wherever you get those, just search PHLY Flyers. That's it for us. I'm Bill Matz. That's Kelly Hinkle. Go Birds!
We all silly like the mayor.